to the Live Lounge. I'm joined by Amber Henderson-Smart, who is Global Head of Client Connectivities at HSBC. So welcome to the Live Lounge, Amber.
Thank you, Ellie. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to talking about open banking and what a great event you've got here. Really busy, people coming in, great. I was up at the main stage earlier as well, and definitely looking forward to catching up on the payment show later on and seeing some of my HSBC colleagues as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, look, it's great to have you here and to see HSBC well represented at the Expo, of course. Amber, tell us a little bit about your role. What does it entail?
Sure. So I'm the Global Head of Client Connectivity at HSBC, and I sit within our payments business. Essentially, the purpose of my team is to enable our corporate and institutional clients to connect to HSBC's transaction banking network with ease and efficiency. Practically, what that entails is really looking at the customer experience, how we want to shape that, improve that across documentation, product onboarding, client integration, and of course our wholesale digital channels. So things like HSBC Net Web, mobile, host-to-host, and of course APIs, which we're going to talk quite a bit about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the customer experience piece, of course, always important.
Absolutely.
Well, look, within client connectivity, how are you using open banking APIs and premium APIs to connect with clients more seamlessly and at pace in payments?
Absolutely. I think if I pick up on the last part of your question, really about the customer experience, I think if we look at our customers at HSBC, many of them are on different growth and optimization journeys, and it's really changing how they want to connect to the bank and some of their preferences. I think there's definitely more demand now for sort of what I would say non-functional requirements like convenience, automation, on-demand access, as well as security. The great thing about APIs is the technology. Quite simply, they allow two systems to talk to each other automatically and securely. And so with open banking APIs, as well as our HSBC Treasury APIs, we're able to address some of those requirements by embedding our capabilities within our client systems. So, for example, being able to embed capabilities directly into their ERP, their TMS, or maybe software as a service accounting package means that they have the convenience to access their services and information directly from the bank and don't need to log into our portals.
Okay.
Things like security, we're able to embed more microservices over API to support fraud or payment validation. So things like confirmation of payee, which allow us to improve the security of the transaction and the broader ecosystem. Process automation, we're all looking to automate processes. Our clients don't want to be logging in and out, uploading, downloading information, which adds a lot of overhead for their business. And then finally, we're definitely in a digital 24/7 world. So being able to execute on-demand transactions and receive information in real time is increasingly important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, security and fraud prevention there are two watchwords definitely at the moment. So when you're thinking about payment journeys, then how important is that client experience to HSBC?
Look, 100%, everything we do at HSBC, we put our client first. And I think what's really exciting about payments is how much it's changing. If you look at new infrastructures coming out, new financial ecosystems, as well as a lot of upgrades to existing payment schemes, the real reason behind all of it is to make it easier and faster to move funds and the associated data, and ultimately improve the user experience of the end users of those systems, whether it's a retail user, a corporate, or an institutional client. So for HSBC, we're making that a reality by combining open banking, our treasury APIs, as well as our global payment solutions, things like global disbursements and real-time payments, to deliver an increasingly instant and always-on payment experience.
Yeah, I mean, after all, if that experience isn't good, right, you're just not going to keep people coming back. So that's vital, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think this is where, for me, fortunately, being Global Head of Client connectivity and that experience is becoming more and more important.
Yeah.
I think you can have great products, but what our clients really see, they see the channel. That's the part of the bank that they see. And they spend so much time interacting with the bank through those channels that if we don't get that right, we're not going to really be able to enable the product capabilities and therefore the benefits to our customers.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, look, how is open banking shifting those client behaviours then? And what ways are you seeing those behavioural changes?
Sure. So I think there's multiple factors that are driving a shift in behavior. Open banking is definitely one. You've got new technology. We always talk about the way that retail experience is shaping increasingly wholesale expectations. Our clients are becoming more demanding and maybe a little more impatient with why can't I do things as easily I can as a retail customer.
Right.
And then, of course, 24/7 world. If you think about the way we're able to operate, with apps and things like that, everything is instant. The payment or the movement of funds is really transparent. So I think if we were to, say what came first, I think it's difficult to say, did open banking change the experience or did other things change the needs? And therefore, open banking definitely helps us to meet those heightened client requirements that we see. Things I mentioned before, like convenience, automation, on-demand access, as well as that enhanced security.
Yeah, those client expectations are really high now, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I think it's great because it continues to push us as banks, as payment service providers to continue to innovate and improve the client experience.
Yeah, of course. There's no time to be complacent in
Absolutely,
payments.
not at all.
Well, look, I'm just wondering, it's your first year at Open Banking Expo. We know that HSBC has been here over many years, of course. And as I said earlier, plenty of your team here today. But for you, what conversations are you hoping to hear at the Expo?
Look, the topic I'm really interested to hear more about is open finance. I was actually at a Treasury event in Dubai last month, and it was a hot topic given the progress that they're making with the UAE open finance framework. And I think the way I look at open finance, right, if you think about your bank account like a vault, only your bank has a key to that vault. And if you had open finance, you could provide a temporary key to a trusted party to be able to look into that vault. And so I think if we can give customers a way to provide authorization to share data in a way that's consistent and secure, we'll definitely have the ability to unlock some of the friction that we see in how customers access products and services. With my product onboarding hat on, there's a lot of challenge our clients have today with things like KYC, providing information as well as identity verification, and needing to do that repetitively across different institutions that they operate, or even across utility providers, banks, etc. And so what I'm really hopeful for is that things like open finance is going to help us take the friction out of those experiences clients have onboarding and gaining access to financial products and services. And I think if you can address that onboarding part and the utilization, we've already addressed a lot of the friction in the actual transaction processing. That'll continue to evolve and get better with things like tokenized deposits, smart contracts, and of course, continuing to build out more capability, leveraging the open banking framework. Then you'll have the full end-to-end journey really resolved. And I think that's going to truly open up the ecosystem and improve experience for our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still at such an early stage with open finance. The opportunities are boundless, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I think that'll be the key, like anything, breaking down the problem to the small part. And again, championing my product onboarding side, I would definitely say, let's address some of the challenges like KYC and identification that impact all banks and payment service providers. I also think if you have the right type of infrastructure, it's also going to help us to protect the ecosystem and protect against financial crime and fraud. So I think there's endless benefits from having the right ecosystem and being able to leverage things like identity tokenization.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been great to have you in the Live Lounge, Amber. Before you head off, we're going to present you with your very own ecosystem, which represents obviously the open banking, open finance ecosystem, as you just talked about there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me.